final edition of the dialogue in 2023. Welcome from the Christmas break. Hope you had an enjoyable season, and here we are to take you through the big stories which made 2023. It's a wrap-up of the year. My name is Prince Apollo. The panel is set to take you through those events, but we have to take this opportunity to thank our ardent viewers, the followers on social media and other platforms. Thank you so much for sticking with us from January to December, and here we are in the final edition of 2023. We are looking at ending the year in style, and we will be in the Vision Night at Canaan Land, 31st December. It will be tomorrow evening. The gates will be open at 8 in the morning. We will be there for the whole day and the whole night as we usher in the new year 2024 in style. Be there because I'll be there. It was a joyful season indeed. Few incidents here and there, few road accidents, few criminal activities save for the ADF attack in Kamwenge district, but we thank God for that good season. But looking back at 2023, the panel today will be picking their own stories, the stories that stood out in 2023. Of course, we cannot exhaust the whole year in just 2 hours, but we saw prominent figures who we lost in 2023. I will only point out a few of them. The former PSST for the Minister of Finance and the Treasury, Keith Makanizi. Also, the Labour Minister, Charles Okero Engola. He was shot by his own guard, Private Sabit Wilson. Justice Kenneth Kakuru, that popular Justice of the Supreme Court, popular for his dissenting position on very, prominent petitions, including the presidential petition. The theater actor turned politician Katolu Bwama also died in this particular year. Not forgetting the video blogger Ibrahim Tusubira, also known as Isma Olaxes, and many others. We can only say, rest well, comrades. But of course, we witnessed joyful moments in 2023 and successes here and there. At national level, Uganda won a bid to host the Continental Games AFCON 2027 and a Pamoja bid, jointly hosting it with Tanzania and Kenya. Of course, that is a plus here and there. And of course, we hope to cash in on that continental tournament, the tourism opportunities, and all that. Of course, that comes after the 2007 CHOGM event, and now we are hosting other events like the NAM, National Non-Aligned Movement Summit, the G77 plus China Summit, all these coming in next year. That was a plus in 2023. We saw the royal wedding. The Chabazinga, His Highness Gabulana Diope IV, took his wife, Her Royal Highness Jovia Mutesi. It was pomp and glamour in Busoga sub-region and the Busoga Kingdom as a whole. Well, like I said, I cannot enumerate all the events that made 2023 here because I have a panel. They will introduce themselves, of course, and starting with the man in a coat of many colors, dominated by yellow.
The proverbial Joseph the Dreamer.
And the rumor is that possibly he's looking at a cabinet job. Richard Baguma, it's a pleasure, and always a pleasure having you on the show. I'm profoundly honored to have captained this show, including you for the whole year. Speak to our viewers.
God
is great. Amen.
No question about it. God is great because he has so much much might, all the might. But also God has all the grace.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the grace that has taken us through yet another year. That here we are with our many colors promised yellow. Imagine I'm still here with Chetty. And the doctor
A coat of many colors.
So, and the
What is it? Green,
and
every
our-
color
Yeah.
is there.
our esteemed view.
Yeah, true.
I cannot express.
Can you mention one or two or three?
I will be unfair. Because when you mention 1, 2, or 3, then the other 2
Yeah, true.
will ask you. But let me tell you one, because you are the Secretary General for the Parliamentary Press Association.
True. I am.
So I will tell you that one of our fans is a man called Kagoyi.
Oh, the Sergeant at
The
Arms
Sergeant
Parliament.
at Arms and perhaps one of the longest serving civil servants
Indeed.
in Parliament. And when we were there the other time, thank you for organizing for us a massive
Wow.
Parliamentary Press Association briefing. He told me that.
It's my pleasure.
So the viewers, we thank you immensely.
Yeah, true.
And for me, from the bottom of my heart, I would like to thank the management and team. Because it's a production team, it's a whole team. People see only Apple. They don't know that behind there,
a whole
there's
team.
a huge team. I want to thank them. I want to thank the visionary Pastor Bujingo and the entire team for giving us this platform. Pastor Bujingo, you know, came to us partly when this one was starting. And we played a little role. Yeah, but now I can see the growth.
Yeah.
Not only here, but beyond here. And so I wish our viewers certainly a wonderful 2024. I am hoping that 2023, for those who have survived it, it has been a good year, and I'm looking forward to delving into this last session of this year.
Thank you. The wise man from the East, Dr. Gerard Were Wanzala, it's an honor to have you on the show for the whole year.
Thank you, Apollo. Good morning, our viewers. Of course, like my colleague, I'm really happy that we have this platform. And of course, my sincere gratitude to management and viewers who have been with us for the entire year.
Yeah, true.
And I will not speak much, but to caution that God has given us the grace to live up today. You have survived HIV the whole year. Please don't get messed up tomorrow because you are crossing the year and you get sick.
That's true.
If you're on the road, mind how you use your car and mind your drink.
Thank you so much. He is a public policy researcher and analyst from the East. Thank you so much, Gerard. And can I mention it that you always arrive early here? It's important. I appreciate you for that.
Yeah, of course, people don't know that arriving late is indiscipline. A program like this has to start on time.
Yeah, true.
It will, and the viewers are expectant. So if you come very late, then you disorganize the planning of the entire program.
Yes.
But we forgave Charity. So today she came early.
She's been on time always.
But I come late always. Apollo.
And last but not least, on the panel this morning, it's my honor to have Charity Ahimsiwe Kalebu always here with us. Thank you so much, and speak to our viewers.
Thank you very much, Apollo. Let me pick on the Christmas mood from my friends. I'm happy to be back with the original panel. Dr. Gerard Were Wanzala. We have learned to say his name in that order from you, Apollo. I'm happy to be back with Apollo. It has been indeed a joyous season. You have steered us well throughout the year. Congratulations to you. And congratulations to the team at Salt Media. Of course, Richard has been a blessing to me in the whole year of 2023. I'm not complaining.
Leave alone the
I am happy. There's a lot of a banter in the studio, but outside outside the studio, Richard has walked with me while holding my hand, and I am happy that I'm actually seated back in the same studio with him. It is a great opportunity to network with him, and I hope that 2024 can have better avenues for us to continue to network and to continue to build this nation. And to the viewers out there, I wish you a blessed 2024 as we end the year. You have been told we keep ourselves together, but let us also continue to reflect as a people. What do we want our country to be like? What do we want ourselves to be like? Because, you know, we could end up talking and talking. We've talked a full year.
Yeah, true.
Imagine a full year of 365 days we've talked. And sometimes government is like this big wall which you keep knocking your head on. It has no ears, it has no eyes. I'm talking about the man of a coat of many colors. The man of a coat of many colors, he doesn't want to hear. And we ask ourselves, do we say anything which the coats of many colors hear or never? And now today, to make it worse, they came in with the coat of many colors. Now
I don't know
what a
why,
confusion.
I don't know why he did not realize that you have a red.
He told me not to wear my red outfit. I was about to come back with my red shoes and my red
you have a red
hairband. Even my nail polish is red.
You don't
I said,
disappoint.
let me compromise.
But interestingly, as much as the coat has many colors, the red is mild. It is very mild.
It's not associated with
What
any.
is most outstanding is the yellow.
Oh.
And the problem is that yellow doesn't listen.
Oh.
I hope that in the year 2024, as I conclude,
They
Apollo,
will
their ears
they will
can
develop ears.
open, and they begin to open today on 30th.
Thank you so much, Charity Ahimsibe Kalebu. Thank you so much for your rather intriguing approach to these serious issues we have here. And you tickle our minds, you tickle the authorities and the people who have power, who hold power. And I think it is good. It gives us that sense of democracy that we can accommodate even the divergent views. Thank you. Viewers, I have some people I'll have to appreciate. Major Otim Joel in Chirinya.
The United Republic of Chirinya.
The United Republic of Chirinya. He has been a very, very ardent viewer. I have to appreciate Mr. Mesusera Ahimsibe. He is in Isinjiro. He calls me even after the show, and he says, you people, you give us a good show. Eric Sabit in Mutungo, Abel Keru, and all others who send in their comments and messages. But I have to appreciate my team too. There is that gentleman called Caleb, and Baguma was joking that guy is very healthy. Yeah, we appreciate you, Caleb. We appreciate Chigozi, Solomon, and the team. Favor and Harriet. There is a lady, remember, who
was heavy.
Yes, she gave birth,
Hallelujah.
bouncing baby boy. Yes, thank you so much, Harriet. We appreciate you and the management of Soul TV, including our MD Pastor Joseph Jingo and all others. Thank you so much. You have gave us a platform, and we really treasure it. Looking back at 2023, I picked two stories. One of them is the passing of the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023, and we saw a very popular law within the masses, but it invoked ripples and a huge backlash from the Western countries, especially the leaders in the West and the US. It was introduced to Parliament in March 2023, passed in May 2023 and assented on to by His Excellency the President. It quickly sailed through Parliament, but we saw the backlash, the World Bank threatening to cut aid, the US, holding back on the Goa partnership, and now we still, though it was assented to, we still see the backlash is still really strong. We will quickly give it a few minutes. Dr. Jeddah Dwere-Wanzala, the bill has it already started operating? Is it operational now?
Yeah, it was signed into law by the president, and once signed into law, it's not like these laws on traffic which required regulations. So for it, after signing, it took effect, and a number of people, I think, were arrested and charged under the law, the same law. There was a case in Eastern Uganda and others. But, like you said, this bill was very popular, only that it was not backed by numerical evidence to show how popular it was, and it reinforces what I usually say, that if there are important matters like those, our MPs shouldn't move alone. Probably we need some think tanks that can generate some data to show the support of such a bill in different regions, by what percentage in the House, so that people can know this is a homegrown thing. Probably those who think we are just developing impunity to stampede on the gay rights can also learn to respect and know that the country is moving together with a population, which is a democratic process. Because you see that this matter has been sweeping across Africa.
Yeah, true.
In Ghana, playing in Nigeria, and I think
even in Kenya they are proposing
in Zimbabwe, exactly. So now I think the Western countries need to rethink whether imposing some of these ideas that are not native to the countries that they want to have diplomatic relations with can really be used to as a tool to control the other countries. So, but as we expected, we have seen people suffer sanctions. You know that over 300 MPs cannot get
US visas.
And of course, to some people, it has gone as far as their financial dealings. They cannot deal with maybe keep money in any institution that's connected with the Americans. Lately, we have had reports that
that is the highlight also.
Actually, that's my member of parliament, John Musira, who was one of them.
I think he's
and
now,
he used to like going to US. I believe now
he cannot.
He cannot go. But sometimes, if you are serious on what you want to do, there's a price to pay.
Yeah.
And this is what the president told the members of parliament, that okay, we are passing this, but then there is a price to pay. Which, if you want cheap money, then you'll join prostitution.
Yeah.
I remember that is what he said. So it is time for the Western countries to rethink and see if some of these values that not apply, because we get shocked that the colonial laws we found here were punishing gay acts, for instance, homosexuality. Now, many years later, the same people are telling you that, oh, if you have a strong law, it's bad, you are violating a right. So this confuses us as if we do not have our own homegrown values. But as to whether they will continue to bite, yes, we have AGOA. I think the president has dispatched a team led by his son-in-law to renegotiate. I'm not sure if it's going to produce any results, but those are some of the prices that we have to pay. Of course, our MPs also, I'm also partly happy that those who used to seek treatment there can also know now the pain some Ugandans can have by being treated here.
Good.
Instead of going to spend money there.
All right. Thank you so much. We quickly comment on this particular topic. And Richard, speak to the sentiments and emotions that played out during the enactment of this particular law. I recall Honorable Salo Pendi on the floor of Parliament. She actually said, made a comment on those who promote anti-homosexuality, especially involving young children, that they should not even be imprisoned, given life imprisonment, that they should be even castrated.
But the castration question is not the first. We had Honorable Matindi talking about removing some activities that So, but you see the sentiment. There were three groups, largely in my view. There was the anti-gay group. Emotions. There is the pro.
Yeah.
Also very strong with these emotions. Then there are a lot of people in the middle.
Oh.
Who are trying to kind of also understand why is even this debate so, why is it there? Why is it even happening? What has changed that this debate must come? Why, what is it particularly? Because people go and have sex all the time. I think there are billions of sex every second activity happening somewhere in the world. So there has to be some additional behavior that is inviting public attention into the bad behavior of people. And I think that's where the issue came. It's promotion, investment, publicity. Why are these coming? Then tying interventions, resources, projects and programs to accepting that you should have public declaration of acceptance. I think these are the things that generated a lot of this attention to this. You see, in Africa we probably have 35 or more countries with with laws related to homosexuality, and that are largely saying homosexuality is illegal in this country. Over 35 countries. Now, if you say we have 54 countries, it means the majority of the countries do have. So why is there this focus and attention to Uganda? And that's in Africa. If you go to Asia,
yeah, in Arab countries,
yeah, I mean, if you take entire Asia, and you also take Latin America, so it is quite widespread. So you also have to ask, why did Uganda then become
a target,
like the poster child of the pro-gay movement? Because for me, it's the pro-gay movement that promoted what they called it the Kill the Gay bill in Uganda. In fact, I've told you in my travels, I have found people who tell me they cannot come because they think when you reach in Uganda, the population in Uganda, when you step out, they will know that you are gay and they will stone you. So I would ask, okay, tell me, is it written on your forehead? How will they know? So there was a lot of distortions, misinformation, disinformation, but deliberately, it would be naive to have a story like the guy who died in Mukono. I think it was in Mukono, who obviously was not killed because of...
Yeah, was he Fred Kato? Something like that.
He was on every mainstream global media house, both online and mainstream. So who was the content distributor for that? Who was sustaining that story? What was the objective? And it's when we don't ask ourselves, if we don't reflect on this, then we let the story remain as if it's a Ugandan story. I think for me it is not just a Ugandan story. I think there are global forces driving this. That is why you see you will have a deliberate slowing down of issuance of visas on people. You apply now, they put you in November next year. And it is even on more than 300 of MPs. Who is that one who dares have the audacity? Okay. So these are the questions, Apple, I think we should be asking ourselves. What is important finally? is that the 35 plus countries on this continent, if they coalesce around this agenda, the rest of the world will back off.
That is exactly what I wanted to ask you. That can we maintain our stand on anti-homosexuality and the Western world, I mean, pulls back?
No question about it. Because there are bigger interests. The noise and the focus is for domestic politics. They are domestic politics.
Oh.
Not because it is conviction.
All right. Thank you so much. And Charity, what do you make of the whole enactment of this? And what stood out for you in that whole process of enacting and assenting onto this particular bill?
You know, the promoters of the anti-homosexuality bill, and even the ones that are anti the bill, and then the people who believe in homosexuality, they see nothing wrong with the bill having been enacted. Because for them, as long as there is publicity, it is enough to cause conversation around the story. Whether it is good or bad, the conversation should go on. So we are in court, and in the court process, the pro and against forces are being sponsored by the same people who you're saying.
Really?
Yeah. They're being sponsored by the Americans who you're saying are against
Even those
the
who
bill.
are against?
And I have said the pro and against who are in court are being sponsored by the same people. Why? Why would that happen? It's because for them publicity is publicity.
So they want the
and
conversation
for as long
to
as
go
the
on.
conversation goes on, it is good enough.
Okay.
But I want to speak to this issue on international law and what governs international laws and international norms. The law of nations is what we call international law. And international law is based on customs, to the interest of many people who may not know.
Oh.
Yes, it is. One of the key
Customs
sources
of individual societies.
of individual countries and upholds the sovereignty of countries based on their customs.
Indeed.
International law cannot be operational except you understand the question of sovereignty and equality, that every country is sovereign in its own nature and it has equality to other states. So for it to work, we have to understand that every country has norms, has values, has aspirations, has beliefs that are dear to that country, and that jurisdiction on that country can only be as per that country. That it is practically impossible for America to try Uganda in American courts and sanction and put, what would I call it, and put criminal charges against a country called Uganda and implement them effectively, because a country called Uganda is also a sovereign state.
That's true.
And that it is also practically impossible on the reverse side for Uganda to do a case against America and try it and then create sanctions and then implement them against America. So each state is supposed to respect the other state. In terms of that, therefore, if Uganda has taken a position, and I 100% agree with what my brother Richard has said here, when the Pope recently wrote and said, look, we shall bless same-sex marriage, who have written back? It is the African bishops. And they've stood very firm. And Vatican had to back off. Now, Richard is telling you that African countries, this is their value, this is their norm. They don't believe it. They don't want to associate with that. And if international law, therefore, respects the Vienna Convention. If you look at it, the Vienna Convention of 1969, look at Article 53.
Sovereignty of
it
states.
It talks about cognis jusness. That is norms, norms, norms. Why? It is saying that if for you that is your value, that is your norm, the rest of us are bound to respect you for your norm and your value. And so I call on the international community
Finally,
to respect the values, the norms of people, and also respect states when they choose to do what they do.
Thank you so much, Charity. And I hear you saying that possibly it is time for Africa to stand firm and make a statement. Well, we wait to see how it pans out. The matter is still in courts of law, but we wait to see the outcome. And now I open the discussion to the panel, and I think Charity will take the first shot. What is your big story this morning?
My big story this year has been the story of potholes. I think everybody in Uganda relates to potholes. When Richard was coming here, I don't know how many he counted on his way to the studio. And Dr. Werihe Wanzala, I don't know how many he counted to this studio. We have seen what we call pothole campaign by a person called Spire Jimmy Sentongo.
Yeah, true.
We saw the president releasing money towards potholes, then later taking a U-turn and saying, if potholes in Kampala are not being fixed, the rest of Ugandan roads are fixed. Then we also saw Ugandans exhibiting potholes in the places where they live.
Those are the memes on social media.
What has been so
Somebody
amazing about... I should not even... But you know, we laugh about this, but this is very annoying. It is so annoying that government has failed to have a structured method of dealing with potholes. Can you imagine, Apollo, 8,500 square meters of potholes in Kampala? 8,500 square meters. That is what we are talking about. Go here to the Monitor. You know, I worked in the Monitor more than 12 or 13 years ago. And that road had those potholes. Now, what the potholes have done...
Is it 6th Street?
6th Street, they have expanded and become more gigantic. So when you're driving through that road, you first drive at the end of the road, then come back to the other end of the road, and then cross through to the other end.
Yeah,
so when the
motorbikes... Look at that one. He called it, I think that is Spire. He called it pothole development. And he's relating the man in the heart.
You see what the citizens are saying? The citizens are saying now he does whatever he wants. Because previously he used to do what the citizens wanted. Now the citizens are saying something. But the truth is, this is a big issue in Uganda.
Yeah, true.
And yet when you flip every document of my friend Richard here, you know, every document of the NRM talks of infrastructure development, talks about growth, economic growth linked to infrastructure. How infrastructure, and we've seen, we have a budget of 5 trillion towards roads.
Look at
in
that.
Kampala alone.
Look at
in Kampala alone. You saw what happened in Namamve when a whole truck was stuck. A woman was holding her child on top of the roof of the taxi because they were sinking. The road had been dug, and this was not just potholes, but now flooding as a result of potholes, bad roads within the city. Their taxis are dilapidated. They can't move through these places. They're holding children up there to try and secure them. And the truck, which was feeling sorry for the people who are going to suffocate in a taxi, gets a rope. They tie the taxi and rescue these 14, 15 passengers that were on board. We cannot be in 2024, my God. We're going to the year 2024. Exactly. We left 2023 and we are still talking about potholes.
Well,
Apollo, even here, just outside our studio, on this road, you find potholes.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think beyond the exhibition, on a daily basis, we need to see the accidents.
Actually, that is what, let's come back to the studio and we talk about briefly how people suffer, I mean, with this dilapidated infrastructure in the city. One, the accidents that are a result of these bad roads. Two, the vehicles
are always in the garage.
Always the maintenance costs of vehicles.
But that
the time spent.
But the government likes the maintenance costs. The government likes the maintenance.
Yeah, true.
The government loves maintenance costs because they come with procurement. So the more money, so I guess some people leave those roads bad like that so they can make money out of it.
It is very good that Charity, you picked that story. It was a big story in 2023, and I'll pick a comment from the other panelists. Richard.
No, there is a lot of works going on right now.
But it is still a big challenge in Kampala.
There's a lot of works going on right now. I usually pass this one, and it's not accessible. This side where we come from, when we come from the bypass, it's closed. There is a lot of works going on there. The road infrastructure in Kampala, as well as the sewage and drainage infrastructure, are in dire need of an overhaul. Real overhaul. So that's, I do drive around, I feel the pain. Now, there are two things that we need to think about. One is the economic cost. The economic cost, not just to the public coffers, but to the individual coffers. Imagine the amount of time lost. What is the cost? That is the first one. Charity has talked about the others. The other thing that we don't talk about is the impact on the health.
Oh.
Yes.
The backs.
The stress levels. First and foremost, the impact on the mental health. You have road rage, you have tiredness, you have stress, you have anger, you have all this combined. It's a big consequence on the health and welfare of the people because of the very poor and broken down nature of the transport infrastructure. So yes, it's something that we need to. I am glad that there's massive work now happening. How I wish that the pressure that the public had put, because it's the problem with the public, they have a short, span of pressure, and then they move to the next thing. They get distracted by some naked person on social media. How I wish the pressure that yielded results could be kept for another 3-4 months. That is compounded by the NAM, the Speakers Conference, and the G77.
Oh, yeah.
We would have very good roads. And that must be integrated with climate change. It must be climate smart infrastructure development.
Thank you. Dr. Jirugi Wanzala, let's talk about the significance of this, this issue as it came up in 2023.
Yeah, the issue came up, and in our documents of the government that I looked through, we are talking about Ministry of Urban Planning, we are talking about safe and sustainable cities, and Uganda and Kampala is the capital of Uganda. It's not just like Malaba or Busia or anywhere. It is the face of this country, that when you come from Entebbe International Airport.
I saw Honorable Semujunganda making a serious illustration of Uganda's capital, Kampala's importance.
Exactly.
You heard it.
And also, I did not hear it, but maybe our messages are similar.
We shall not repeat it. He talked about body parts.
I did not
but he said it's like washing your face and other part and leaving the face dirty.
Yes, and then contribution of Kampala to the national economy, it's very big, over 60%. And so you cannot ignore such a place. And now if it comes to issue of safety of the people, the accidents, the mental health he talked about, then now the problem even becomes worse with the lack of course, public transport, mass transport. And you cannot have mass transport without developing infrastructure. So at the end of the day, if we are looking at that sustainable development goal, we really need to be proactive. We shouldn't be reactionary, that we leave the infrastructure to rot, then we use it for politics. And then we see a general on the road walking, 2 billion going to, that's like injecting a dead body.
I don't know, Gerard,
to
Dr.
bring it to
Gerard
life.
and the colleagues, I don't know what happened with smart city concept of Kampala. And you remember when Jennifer Musi came in, they were talking about cable cars. That is the Kampala.
And Kampala now, actually, I'm calling it a concrete city. It is very hot. Everywhere, every open space we see, we want to build their houses and put their malls. We are not considering how people feel. Sometimes you be on Buganda Road and feel the heat being generated from the walls, from the concrete. And so this concept of concrete cities it should be eliminated, and we think about actually expanding satellite towns around Kampala, so that not everyone should wake up and say lero ngenda mu town, so that you all go squeeze in one place as if you don't have anywhere you can do.
No, I think that
same
fits
things.
in the Kampala metropolitan. Is it plan that is
Yes, that,
bringing in PG, Mukono, and Chira on board.
of course, I saw that was one of the solutions government proposed, having a metropolitan planning authority, bring all this together. And of course, if you are to develop our sewage system that you talked about, because the distances are too short, like from Kampala to Mukono. If you go to big cities, you find the cities like from Kampala to beyond Jinja, and you're still in one city. So all these need to plan together. But you remember the challenge that we need to address was the issue of mistrust on issues like land. When it came up, people were saying, they want to grab our land, they want to steal our land. So it died up there. But something that we need to honestly discuss. We cannot continue like this. The average pay in Kampala, I was looking at the statistics, is 400,000 for people who work in Kampala. Now transport is so costly that there is a time in this Kampala when taxis disappear, and then you find crowds on Kampala Road waiting, you know. Okay. So at the end of the day, maybe 50% of someone's income is going on transport. And then when they pay the rent, what will they eat? What's the medical care?
Okay, thank you so much, our viewers. You can now be part of the discussion. Send in your comments and observations. We are looking at the stories which made 2023. Tell us any other story you feel we've left out, but we still have other stories coming in. It is now up to the panelists to pick their own stories. And Charity Msibe Kalebu picked the story of potholes. I think it was a big story. Baguma talked about the economic impact. Wait a minute.
They call them pot.
Wait a minute.
They're in the shape of a pot.
Baguma, you talked about the economic impact and the health impact of potholes, but you didn't speak about the direct health impact on people. The backs are broken. I hope people will get the complications with their backs because of...
No, you see, why I focused on the mental health is because it is the one that is not usually focused upon. It is the one that is
the psychological effect.
Yes, because we forget mental health. So you see, for example, the violence that comes out of road rage is usually not quantified. But by the time you get home, having been on this road, you reach there stressed. When you are angry and stressed. So you are going to slap the child in the compound. So they think, the people don't realize. Yes. And for me, this is it.
It is important.
You need to hear the words people use to each other on the road. These words are not normal. So and therefore this,
then others will splash water onto others because they hit a pothole full of water.
But sometimes it's not by choice. It happened to me this morning, and the men came abusing me through the window. But I didn't even notice that my behind tire had hit that pothole and that water had splashed on them. So when they kept shouting and screaming, I said, "You people, now forgive me. I didn't even know that tire hit you."
Charity, you brought up this issue. You will end it. Tell us what you think about the interventions. Do you think, because Baguma talked about real overhaul, that Kampala needs real overhaul. Do we have the money? Do you see where we can get money to work on these roads and then our concerns are sorted in the near future?
But Apollo, even before we talk about the question of money, I didn't want to go into the question of money because of the 90 trillion we've now hit as with the debt burden. And also because I have seen that every time there is scarcity of money, agriculture becomes the first culprit. They've cut the agriculture budget by almost 3/4, and yet 87% of your population relies on agriculture. But yet we see corruption and people eating money every day, those who really have, and budgets which are not substantial for particular places, going there. Why don't we take that money from those spaces and put it into these roads? Because we all benefit at the end of the day from these roads. For me, the big issue we need to learn, we need to pick the lessons from Kenya. Kenya has spent a lot of time investing in that Nairobi of theirs. And people feel proud to drive on Nairobi roads. They have issues.
Our members of parliament have been in Kigali.
Kigali?
They're all
screaming about Kigali.
The fancy roads, the what,
and the trees, and the infrastructure, and the
environment.
And yet when you go to the countryside of Kigali, I don't think it's the same like that capital city, but they have managed to trade off their capital city. For us, the rest of the country, the roads are okay, and fairly okay. Yeah. But we need to have our roads here. This is the capital city. We need to get these roads fixed.
Thank you so much.
Look at Tanzania. When that man had not yet died, Pombe, he spent a long time doing that railway infrastructure. Then the roads. Let me tell you, before then, Tanzania, those dalas and the way we were jumping onto them, you were susceptible for accidents, all sorts of things. And these tukutukus everywhere. Now there's a lot of organization in Tanzania. It is now sane. It's a bit calmer. Why can't we pick lessons?
Thank you. Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much, Charity and the panel, for picking that big story of potholes. I am sure the authorities know about this. In a recent engagement with His Excellency the President, he narrated a report he received from his minister of Veteran Affairs. And he narrated an incident where he traveled for 2 hours from Mbarara to Kampala
and only woke up.
Spent 3 hours crossing through Kampala. That is why I think the authorities know about this. So now do something about it. My name is Prince Apollo. Let's go for a short break. The panel will come back with their big stories of 23. I'm yearning to hear from what Dr. Gerard Werihe has picked as his big story in 2023. Let's go for a break. We'll return after this short while.
Soul Television, Femunyo.
Thank you so much and welcome to the second segment of the dialogue. The panel bringing out their big stories of 2023. It's a special edition as we conclude 2023, the final lap. My name is Prince Apollo. Richard Bagumati Nkasimire, communication expert, is with us. Charity Msibe Kaleba, human rights activist and the executive director for Uganda Electoral Institute. And we have Dr. Gerard Werihe Wansara, a wise man from the East. He is a public policy researcher. Let's look at the messages coming in. As viewers of Dialogue, we are most pleased that you accepted the role of moderating the panel discussion. Thank you so much for your professional caliber. You enhanced their quality and relevance while giving them an entertaining touch at the same time. This balance is only rarely achieved, and no wonder that your unique style of moderation attracted the rapt attention and apt responses of panelists and us, the audience. Thanks so much and Happy New Year to you, the entire panel and Soul TV management. On behalf of viewers of the Dialogue, or Team Major Joel from the United Republic of Chirinya Bukasa, where you're getting it. Thank you so much, Joel. At times, I can get lost in the diction. Thank you so much, Joel. Good morning, moderator. This is Bire Bulega from Broba. 2023 big stories are the ADF operations in Kasese region. Are we safe in Central? And the sad demise of Sobi. Sobi was a renowned thief and criminal. Head of the criminal gangs in Kampala. Are the allegations that Sobi worked for Ugandan security true? And is it under investigation? I'm not so sure if they are investigating because he's already dead.
Man in yellow should
Send in
tell
your
us.
comments and observations on the stories you think made 2023. We will read out those comments in a while. And Dr. Jared Wanzara, it's your turn. Give us your big story of 2023. What you think stood out in this particular year?
For me, what stood out was the ADF attack on the students of Rubiriha, where we lost, I think, over 30.
There were 41.
Yeah, 41 students. It was so traumatizing, and for me, it brought back the memories of the violent extremism in Uganda that started with the attack on Mengo in the 1960s, and then we have lived through it until now. Actually, since 1960s up to now, Uganda has been losing people to gun violence. If it's not gun violence, it's other forms of violence. So for me, it reinforced the fact that Ugandans need to do a soul searching, and then we become as inclusive as possible in issues of governance, issues of livelihood, to ensure that such conflicts do not become part of our society, and that we cannot be identified forever with violence. And also, of course, it confirmed the fact that our going to the DRC was necessary in the first place, because the more we have intensified operations in the Congo, the more these guys try to enter inside, meaning that the hideouts are probably not comfortable now. So they have to come in smaller
Those
numbers.
are the pictures of deployment of Shuja, Operation Shuja in Congo.
Yes, and so maybe they have to come in smaller numbers of 2, 3, like you saw the encounters on Lake Albert, where some were put out of action, and then their commander Njovu was arrested, who is now in prison here. And then
That's a gruesome picture of one ADF rebel being killed,
yes,
put out of action.
and of course, after the killing of the students, we also had a hit on our tourism, caused by the killing of the tourists and the driver.
I think that is the vehicle.
Exactly. So it went global, and so many people who were destined to visit our country thought that Uganda was very unsafe. So it is again something that I picked because of its impact on the recovery of our tourism. And of course, our people in Kamwenje again did not have very good Christmas
Even
and the neighboring Uganda because there were attacks. So I saw the response by the head of state to recruit LODs in that area to back up the UPDF. And I think it could be ideal because the issues of manpower are very important,
I think
especially
that is
if you are
of the recent attack in Kamwenge, where an old woman was killed together with 2 grandkids.
exactly. And so for me,
On Christmas Day.
yes,
So
and people
the
who
threat
are,
is real.
It is real. Actually, I want to tell people that those who are doubting, it is real. And for me, what is more important is that if we can respond the way the president is saying, recruit LODUs, because in such guerrilla operations where you expect 5 fighters here and there, having troops on the ground is very important. And as you know, our UPDF is lean and overstretched. So it is something that we need to address because it has an implication on tourism, but also we need to think about the sustainable peace.
Thank you.
As a country.
Thank you so much, Richard. Talk about the response against these ADF attacks. Government deployed in Congo, but again we are being attacked from the rear at home.
The ADF is 20 something, probably not 20 something.
Yeah, it started in 1997. The rebellion emerged in 1997.
So it's a 20-something year old challenge. It has gone through different phases. In fact, I remember even at one time there were very strong voices accusing the government of being the one creating the ADF. Yeah, that it's one of those things
Creations of the state.
created to keep power and and also seafood resources. I'm not sure how much traction that thinking still has.
But do you dismiss it, or you?
My work as a person in information management, I do not dismiss information offhandedly.
Yeah, true.
It can be interesting when ultimately the truth. See, sometimes the truth is penultimately falsehood, but also the other way. The obvious truths can be falsehoods, but obvious looking falsehoods can really be the bottom truth. But now, I think two things that happened. The ADF got quite a bit of comfort in Congo.
Yeah, true.
It got quite a bit of comfort. And then, so they were free to recruit, make money from all these illegal things, mining and you know, get food and beef up their numbers. But also they're connecting to the international anti-West movement, usually called the Terror.
The IC.
The you know, ISIS
Islamic State.
and all that. So I think those were two important developments for ADF. So it didn't become just a Ugandan problem. It also became a problem for the Congolese populations, particularly in the east. Now, we have had political differences with the different leaders in the Congo. So we didn't have a sustained welcome period to go and fight and look for the ADF. Now we have had a bit of time to be there. Operation Shuja, but the other operations, some of them not so public. And in my view, the ADF also got out of its comfort. Yes, and came to fight for its life. So I think some of these attacks you see now, the frequency, the gruesomeness, is part of the pattern of the elements that usually have connection with international terror. They use terror methods to get publicity, but also to divert attention, to attract resources and recruitment, but also to weaken support for their opponents. This time being the UPDF. If we are, in my view, if we are lucky and we have continued welcome time in Congo, the ADF is going to be like the LRA.
Wow.
Yeah, it will have to get off our borders.
You also set a condition that we should be allowed to follow up the enemy in their stronghold. If that is not granted, then possibly we will continue to witness these attacks.
You see, for me, it's the politics, the real politics, but also the situation on the ground. If I have brothers in Congo, you know, like we have the same ethnicity, we have the same relationship. If you look at the grandfathers, and then I must, because of a decision of some fair-skinned individuals in Berlin in 1884, I must not operate around these corners. Then I have a problem. That is an important problem for me. And that one I told you did not start now. Is when I was a journalist and I was taken. When disbanding of students, has it started now?
No, it started with the Chichwamba massacre of 1999.
And when we went, is when I said, but okay, so the NRA was accused of sovereign attack or whatever. But when you are crossing, I don't know if your people have been there. When you are crossing, the people are speaking the same language, they are brothers, they are sisters. So they come here. So okay, we shall go to those. But the practical situation is either you deal with the situation in your compound, but if it is affecting my compound, I will come to your compound.
I am not amazed you share the same strategy as President Museveni.
If I do, then I don't mind being a president for 40 years.
He seems to only believe in ending ADF militarily.
No.
There's some.
No. President Museveni is one of the of the leaders who have had most talks with all these adversaries in this country.
People asking, you have Jamil Mukuru in prison, the founder of the ADF. Why can't you settle this matter through dialogue or in any other way?
Yeah, but he's in prison.
No. He is the first.
He didn't come for dialogue. He was not picked because he was coming for dialogue. Apana.
What do you make of the government response to how it has responded to the ADF question?
So the ADF, like all other facets, has a human rights aspect to it. And I think the human rights aspect to it, and which people have been asking, is the question of why do you say they are allegedly the killers and then you kill them? Why don't you arrest them, pick more information from them to lead you to where the others are? But you're putting them out of action there and then. Of course, there's also
some have been arrested and arraigned, and possibly
but most of the ones that we have seen now in the recent past, especially the ones the president assured us, the ones who killed the tourists, we shall get them, we shall kill them, and they said we killed them. Now the public remains with questions of how sure are you those are the ones that actually killed the tourists? Did you extract information from them? How did you know that these are the ones? Or because it is an army operation, they always know how to identify who it was. And then the ones for Kamwenje, same story. The man was also still put out in action. And they said he's the one for Kamwenje. Then there is one they were searching for in the... There is one they were searching for on the media. And they said he had put threats in Kabalagala and different places. Here in Kampala, actually. And the military said we have to trace him. And they asked the public to be vigilant. And somehow they also put him out of action. So the bigger question has been, have you picked sufficient information from these people? But for me, I want to think about what the president has been saying. The president has written to the Bazukulu recently about ADF. And these were his words. He said, Bashir, Mobutu, and he named the third person, Kabila. Those were the people who were responsible for the growth of ADF in this region, and there was a mission. The mission was to propel the Sharia law. This is what the president said in his letter to the Bazukulu. And he says there has been a systematic method of dealing with the issue. And that if you see the efforts that have come in through his East African dialogue processes, but also through the joint forces, and then through the special operations of UPDF, ADF is soon becoming a story of the past. He did this with LRA. So the question would be, why is he writing to the Bazukulu now to tell us about Sharia law? And what does Sharia law mean in the life of ADF and those who believe in it? Is there any connection between ADF and what we've been seeing with ADF, with what is happening internally in Uganda, with those who might relate to the ADF and might relate to the Sharia law? The politics that has played out in terms of Sharia law internally and in terms of Sharia law at Congo level is high-level politics, and South Sudan as well. And so because there is politics to this, lives continually being lost, the president always says they are cowards, they look for the soft spots.
They are pigs.
Yes.
That is
two words. Baguma should help us. He calls them swine pigs, cowards. Add another one, which the president likes using. He says they go for the softer targets.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the accountability in terms of the lives that have been lost continues to be there. And these have been schools. The one in Kasese.
Victims.
Yes, the one in Kasese was a school and next to a police post, a UPDF police post. Remember that we did not conclude on that matter. That the president sent a team there. They brought him a report. We don't know what happened in the report. So in terms of justice system, and providing more information. He has started to give some information, but there needs to be reassurance for the ordinary citizens on how this problem
That
can be
is
put
very
to bed.
important. And Charity says there is also a human rights aspect in this particular issue of ADF. Finally, from you, you raised this issue. Do you think with the current strategy of handling the matter militarily, the president actually is good at, I mean, we thank him for giving us periodic updates about the operations in Congo. He tells us these have been killed, they have been smashed, our forces have Kura.
When he's writing to Bazuku.
And the president also boasts that now UPDF has all the military assets.
Yes.
Do you think the ADF question will be solved sooner as LRA was handled?
This problem, like he told you, it is a bit complicated. It has a local dimension, regional and international. And then there are also other issues that we don't pay attention to. I was privileged this year to write a paper for IGAD on violent extremism. And I found so many other independent investigations by international and local organizations. And the main source of recruitment for the ADF had been areas of Busoga, and where people are highly Muslim. You know, you rarely find Christians in those communities.
Actually, that is
and then
intriguing.
Yes, and those areas are also highly impoverished in terms of access to services and income. So at the end of the day, people are hoodwinked into promising them jobs, and quite a number of people, there is evidence that people have disappeared from here and have ended up there, either sometimes captured and then interrogated, or and then they come back to the community, or there are those who have gone forever. But of course, also, there's a fact that the ADF formation has a history of religion to it. Of course, certain people may have, violated the rights of others in the process of responding to the problem. But you remember that one of the biggest problems between President Museveni and President Omar al-Bashir was the issue of sponsoring the ADF. And from the 90s, he kept on saying, we shall not allow an Islamic state, Uganda, to become an Islamic state. So his problem with Joseph Kabila was that he talked to Joseph Kabila several times to give him permission to go and conduct operations, but sometimes he always rejected, and sometimes he would go there forcefully for a short period of time. So this this conflict, I don't think can end immediately, but it has so many other issues to look at. It should do with the origin, why did those people go there, who are the vulnerable people who can be easily, recruited, how does it play with the national border politics of Uganda, and then there we can find a solution.
So there are other avenues.
Exactly, it has to be a multi-strategy
multifaceted approach.
Absolutely.
And hopefully,
and maybe finally, of course, Ugandans are concerned about endless classified expenditures. Some of these operations take a lot of money, but also they can be used as opportunities to steal from the taxpayer.
yeah, that's true.
So it is also important that as much as we give classified expenditures, at the end of the day there should be accountability
We demand for
to the citizens. Yes, it can be after. But hiding it totally from scrutiny is also a problem.
And actually, I think, gentlemen and the lady, Ugandans have given the security apparatus and the
An open check.
yes, and an open check. You don't hear much of grumbling about the expenditures on these military
And sometimes what
operations.
makes us actually question, because you see a vote under the Ministry of Defense, you see classified expenditure. Then again, you see under State House, also a huge expenditure on the glass. I know that there's some intelligence.
And then for how long
So-
will that stand? Because if I imagine if Ugandans now run away from that side and still doubting and raising questions. And another issue is our Muslim community in Uganda. They have been so cooperative in this manner. They are not actually looking at it as an attack or an affront on their religion. They are saying it's a native, it's a terrorism issue. You handle it. I think it's a blank check on the side of government, and it is up to government and the forces to do a thorough job. Thank you so much, our viewers. Let's take your comments and observations. Send them on 0701. If you're watching us for the first time, send your comments and observations on 0701 609906. Make your observation brief, precise, and to the point. Tell us what you think about these big stories we are analyzing, and possibly what is your big story of 2023. Gentlemen, can we cross over and look at another big story? Richard, you have your pick now. Thank you.
No, I tried not to look at 2023. No, it's behind us. I tried to move on. And so I think one of the most intriguing stories was that we are the most drunk country on the continent. That we are just drunkards of the continent. And that's our number one achievement. That for me was one of the largest stories.
Uganda is number one.
That we have achieved so much in drinking that we are the champions. And I was thinking, how can, of all things, how can we be number one in being drunkards? And I was thinking about it. I said, you see, at least in the villages I grew up in, if your home was known as the home of drunkards, it was unlikely that anyone wants to marry there.
Wow.
The boys don't want to marry the girls, the girls don't want to marry the men. It was a point, it is an identity of rejection. Yeah, it's nothing to be proud
And
about.
here we are, Uganda number one.
And we talk about it.
In alcohol consumption.
And we talk about it with pride. That really, for me, is what impacts much. That we go and we are talking about it with a lot of pride. So the one of the reasons I am passionately committed to the alcoholic drinks control bill is particularly that. And why for me it was important is that the presiding office of Parliament, the Speaker, despite the enormous pressure from the big bucks guys, the ones who sell us the poison that is alcohol, is exerted on her. She still allowed that bill to see the light of day. She still allowed it.
Let me first take your microphone a bit and tell our viewers that Richard Baguma picks the story around the introduction of the Alcohol Control Bill 2023. It was tabled in Parliament last month by Tororo woman MP Sarah Opendi, and the proposed law seeks to regulate production, sale, and consumption of alcohol drinks in Uganda. Start from there. I think our man is there.
And
the man himself.
Yeah, this is when we appeared before the Committee of Parliament.
And you know, the alcohol industry, I'm told the alcohol industry has chosen 3 of us to attack. Myself, the Honorable Sarah Opendi, and that guy next to me, Dr. David Kalema. Dr. David Kalema, yes, is the consultant for alcohol control in Uganda for the government and for WHO. But he has been, you know, he runs the rehabilitation center. And he has had a lot of experiences with this situation. So we went to...
How severe is the alcohol effect?
The estimate we have from 2022 is that about 5 million Ugandans have an alcohol challenge. Yeah, they are drinking...
About 5 million?
About 5 million.
Oh, that's a lot.
That's one. And 2, the survey age was about, the most affected is between 15 and 29. That's the most affected.
Adolescent and productive.
Yeah, that's the most affected. That the Uganda has only, and that's the other problem with the response, has only one
dedicated specialized unit for alcohol management, and that's at Utawaka. It's part of the mental health unit.
Only one.
It has 80 beds, and now, for the last months, it is beyond capacity, so it doesn't admit.
Oh.
So one of the things that has grown fastest is the business of rehabilitation and treatment. In Kampala now, Kampala, Wakisa, and PG probably have 19 or 20 that I know about, and all of them are full.
Rehabilitating people addicted to
all of them are
alcohol.
full, yes. And the ones who can afford are the children or the sisters of charity, Dr. Wirike, myself, because of the cost. The majority of these Ugandans are, there in the community. So we estimate that alcohol costs this economy trillions.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But it also brings
number one,
in trillions.
Number one driver for crashes, this one which you call accidents. You know me as an activist for road safety, I don't call it accidents. These things don't happen accidentally.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Accidents there is an inevitability element. But if we have potholes and you're dodging them and you crash, that's a crash, really. If it's because you drink. So the largest driver. Now, the Cancer Institute has told us, and when we started this campaign, is some of the things I also didn't really realize, that there are 8 cancers that are related to alcohol use. And the largest cancers in this country, and I had not even understood the science between breast cancer and alcohol consumption. They are driven largely. The Heart Institute has told us the same. Now, these are things we had not thought about. The increase of type 2 diabetes, part of the problem, the sedentary lifestyle, the poor eating, but also the drinking. Oh. Now, the gender-based violence, the traditional problems that especially the women movements have dealt with, the gender-based violence, the teenage pregnancies, the HIV, and resistant tuberculosis, the drug-resistant tuberculosis. So there are all these things. Oh. Now, what has happened, though, is that the public discourse has been driven by the billions of the alcohol industry. So every time it's like that it's our culture. There is no saying in any of the cultures, these people are here, let them tell me, there is no culture which glorifies drunkenness. The cultures, in fact, emphasize drinking and use of alcohol very responsibly. So it's a lie to say that the cultures promote drunkenness. No. They imagine when you are at like a wedding or what, they test. The thing they use for weddings or whatever, they just test and that's it. So it's also not true to say that. And so Apollo, one of the most important things now for me is that we should be pushing to have the alcohol control law in Uganda so that we can regulate as you have explained.
Thank you so much, Richard Baguma, for your pick. It looks like Dr. Jeremy Wanzala, a generation is dying away because of alcohol, and we are not aware and we are not concerned.
You're very right. I've been going to my village. I don't know how often Baguma goes to his village, but this disease...
They don't have a village. They come from Barara City.
This disease, but you're originally from Isinjiro.
Yes.
No, but also Barara still has aspects of villages, Masho.
Yeah, so if you go to the rural areas where people are expected to be in the gardens, tilling the land to produce food, people are no longer going there. And you know, our population is very young. The average age of Ugandan is 16, very young. So you go there in a trading center, all kinds of waragi of 1,000, I don't know what, very small plastic bottles. But those are the ones there. Very little. Those are the ones they are consuming. And I'm very sure UNBS, government entities don't know even some of those illicit alcohols on the market. So at the end of the day, there is the issues of crime, stealing goats, cows, you're able to raise money to drink because you're not working.
So this is contributing to crime rates.
Yes, broken homes.
Gender-based violence.
Exactly, gender-based violence. We have road crashes. This year alone, I know 4 people who crashed their cars because of alcohol, you know. And most of the accidents you see in Kampala at night, especially at night, people are drunk, coming from the bars, over speeding, because you lose the mental focal. Exactly. So for me, I say it is a big problem. It's good it came up, and I'm looking forward that to regulation. We are not saying don't drink, but they're saying let's control the hours, the kind of alcohol that's being put on the market, the advertising, what age, you know, who is selling, the licensing, that we have alcohol being sold by licensed places where you can trace the origin of that alcohol. Today, you cannot. You remember the alcohol that was killing people in Arua? It was being made in someone's house, you know, a factory is in the house, in the gate, and people are drinking and getting blind, dying the next day, poisoned. So it's a big problem that this law can really help address.
Big challenge there, and it's a big issue. Luckily, the alcohol drinks control bill is now before Parliament, and we hope to see.
But it will also, just 1 minute, but it will also require the seriousness of state institutions even if we pass the law. I always ask myself, why is my grandfather, who was a chief, able to arrest 10 people and walk with them with one local administration police to the sub-county, but now a police station cannot contain a criminal?
Okay, talking about alcoholism in the countryside, I now visualize people sitting on a jono in marua pots. Then they say that eastern and northern part of Uganda, also people actually wake up in the morning and all they do, especially men, is drinking. Charity, just a few minutes, what do you think about regulating alcohol in Uganda?
Contrary to these two gentlemen, I want to go economic and say that, you know, alcohol, if you look at the amount of money that is coming from those beer and alcohol companies, and I want to go with the Nile breweries, we are selling happiness, that they sell happiness. Me, I don't take alcohol. I also see the president doesn't take alcohol. But, you know, you have to weigh the economic questions.
Yeah, true.
And if you look at the economy and what we mainly benefit from, we fought cigarettes. Cigarettes was more dangerous. Cigarettes had, and the BAT at that time was bringing in billions in terms of
tobacco consumption.
Yes, BAT was paying about, I think, 10 or 12. And there was a doctor called Dr. Sheila Ndianabanji. She died. Since went to be with the Lord. She really put in a lot of effort with the number of people.
Even the gentleman next to you there.
I missed him that time.
Hey.
I knew a lot about Dr.
Was at the
Sheila
forefront
and the documents that she wrote. Now, and there was a hell of a success. And that kind of brought down that cancer thing, lung cancer. Unfortunately, Dr. Sheila died of cancer. Now, alcohol, here we are. I'll tell you that the whole of the Christmas season, what was keeping people up to 1, 2 a.m. is alcohol, because they sit around the table and then they can crack some jokes and laugh around, you know, and the trade that is going on and booming around villages is really around alcohol. And so regulating it, for me, would work best for the group that he talked about, the young ones. Because they go into overdrive. And of course, they always say excessive alcohol is dangerous for consumption.
True.
I think it's there on all their adverts. But nobody pays attention to that when they are young. Once you're indoctrinated, the Malwa groups which you've talked about, then you want to always go back. Are there benefits? Let's look at the benefits vis-a-vis the disadvantages.
That's true.
And then also look at the levels of regulation. If we say 10 p.m., we are closing bars.
During weekdays,
What
working days.
What ultimate, you know, these people drink up to morning even on working days, and then they go and work. They have been doing it. I don't know how they balance themselves and how they've managed to balance themselves and how the bars manage to balance themselves. But I also see that bars spring up every day in Kampala. Why does that happen? It's because the customers are there. Now, the people who we need to focus on more are the younger generation.
Children.
If we get them out of the picture, then I think that we can allow it for economic purposes to continue to be.
You are very correct. The regulations. No. I'm saying I'm agreeing with Charity on one aspect.
And I'm disagreeing.
On one aspect. No. Listen to me, Richard.
I am.
I'm saying.
I'm listening carefully.
I'm saying she raises an argument that we should also look at the economic aspect and balance, strike a balance between. And actually, hearing from Baguma and his group, that's what they are saying. They are saying.
Thank you.
They are saying.
I
Let's
am
regulate.
saying the people
We
who
not
are
banning.
opposing the bill have not read it. That's my deepest disappointment.
They are regulating.
That they are
not
opposing
banning.
what they haven't read. They are casting us. I was the lead communication person for the tobacco control campaign. Ask him.
He was.
We hadn't met. We had met, but we hadn't met in that way. I am mirroring that with alcohol.
The tobacco was.
It is the same realm. Dr. Ndianabanji was the same person heading tobacco control and alcohol control. Same unit. We had as a strategy to choose one, go with it, and prepare for the other.
Actually, there was an attempt.
We didn't
there
walk
was an
into this.
attempt to bring the bill earlier. I think it was 2015 or.
And they
yeah.
brought it, and they
blocked
said it is coming under the Ministry of Trade. We said no. There is a fundamental and irreconcilable conflict of interest between somebody who wants to make more and more and more and more profit and themselves regulating themselves. It is a fundamental and irreconcilable, and that's what we're saying. So we said that one, no.
The alcohol industry players are advocating for self-regulation.
Imagine. Can you imagine? How can that work? The second thing.
And we are running out of time.
Yes. We are not a bunch of idiots coming to kill the economy of Uganda. That framing is also the disinformation, and disinformation fueled and funded by the industry.
Okay.
Who says that we don't care about our country?
Thank you so much,
Apollo.
Richard.
Actually,
There is a law in Kenya. Are the people in Kenya and in Rwanda, by the way, on both sides, are they not having happiness?
No, Richard, Dr.
They're not selling happiness to them.
Charity.
They are not selling happiness
Listen
to
to
them.
this.
Uganda,
There is a
Uganda
gentleman
is
here.
a very stressed country.
The gentleman next to
The only
you.
time Ugandans get a little
stress-
bit of
the
happiness
stress is
out of
alcohol-based.
the many stresses that you've given them potholes, you've given them wars, you don't allow them to elect.
No.
They are only happy when they sit around their Malwa place and can talk to them.
Charity.
Leave the guys to
Have you
drink their
visited
alcohol. I
any
don't
doctor?
take alcohol.
Have they asked
I
you,
don't
do you
take
take alcohol?
But if they are happy,
No.
if they are adults, they've made up
No,
their mind.
but
My problem is
people were
the
happy
children.
beating their wives. Why did we refuse?
But
Men were happy beating their wives.
and they're still beating
And
them.
we said no,
Even when
there
you
has
take
to
away
be
alcohol, they are
registration.
still
No, we
beating
said
them.
there has to be registration against that. Why
But
did we allow it?
legislate for everything.
Charity.
We are legislating for those
But
where
there is-
science has told us
but
we
there
can
is a
legislate.
regulatory impact assessment on that bill.
That
Thank you,
is for me.
gentlemen.
Why? Because Charity
We
has not
should-
read. I am disappointed upon
should-
that
we
because
should move on.
she's a reader.
We should move on. We should move on.
I'm
But,
quite disappointed
but I want to
No,
also-
but I'm concerned about the economic aspect. I'll
because
read
you
the
haven't
bill.
read.
Your-
It is addressed.
Your concern is valid. It is really valid.
Yes, that's why I'm saying we are not a bunch of idiots who are going out to kill the economy.
Gentlemen and the lady, I think also the
For us, we sell
the
happiness.
people
No, you sell poison.
the WHO group should also revise their statistics, because recently Dr. Gerard told us that even Kenyans, because of the stricter laws in their country in regard to alcohol, also cross
They
to
cross to
Uganda.
Uganda to
They drink,
find
so
happiness.
they may be part of those statistics.
Okay.
We are number one drinkers.
Yeah, but that's the truth because we are drinking from here. That's the point.
Because here we allow
Okay, let me-
indiscipline.
We are having indiscipline from even across the border.
And the only way to eat punu is when there is a bar.
Let me read out
the
these
bars to
comments
run. So
as
we
we
sell
wind
more
up.
things.
As we wind up, gentlemen. Good morning, yours, Geoffrey Ouma. Listen to that to our viewers. I am Geoffrey Ouma here in Goma. I hope that is DRC. Uganda is the best country in the whole world, but it is mismanaged by the state and few individuals who think they must have everything to themselves, inconsiderate of the unifying factor, Uganda, with key issues ignored like corruption, nepotism, tribalism, sectarianism, impunity, lawlessness, and now religious. Uganda will keep backward. Let every institution do its job with accountability. Uganda will shine. Thank you so much, Geoffrey Uma. I think that's a brilliant observation there. He says, what made my year was the story of Karamoja Iron Sheets. For once, I was hoping to see half, 50% of cabinet dissolved, but seeing none of them sacked. What came to my mind is that corruption in Uganda is licensed for some people. Then the unending comedy shows in the August House, oh God, I hope it doesn't spill over into 2024. They should for once start thinking about the citizens, not their stomachs. The attack of the UPDF in Somalia, the last that thing of stand by Karaswan, I thought at last the above is gone. Major Joel, thank you so much for that, because it is our last story.
Refer him to my clips on Mabati.
Okay.
I said you'd play it back.
Moderator, kindly take us through the key points in the alcohol control bill. I think I'll refer you to Richard Baguma.
No, but where would they find Richard Baguma? Create a program and we educate the people. Okay. People are speaking from a point of ignorance.
We only have 6 minutes, but we can talk about the Mabati issue. Me, I think it's one of those outstanding scandals of 2023. I mean, having top government officials right from the Vice President, Speaker of Parliament, Prime Minister, and all those people implicated in the Mabati saga. 1.5 minutes for each of us.
Now, just go back to my clips. I told you, Apollo, that is not the most important scandal. That's a storm in a teacup. It was a very small value corruption level. They are big, very big corruption level. The only thing is because people can understand Mabati. People relate to Mabati. It is a commodity they can relate to. Let me tell you, if we were fighting corruption and attacking it the way we were attacking Mabati, we would be somewhere. Let me tell you the second thing. Those Mabati, it was just a backfiring thing. How come that you have the Vice President, the Prime Minister, the Speaker, everybody getting Mabati? They have been getting other goods. So to say that there was going to be, I spoke here, I said they are going to do for you, people, three people are going to appear in court for cameras.
And they did.
The story.
Three. There were three. There are three.
The story will fizzle out. I even remember said, you bring back these comments later if you have them.
I will. I will retrieve them.
This is, and you say that this government didn't know Mabati and
but court proceedings are still going on.
What? To what effect? To which effect?
Charity.
Charity will be. Charity was ranting here. I told the Charity it is okay to rant. The thing will just end like that.
Those are the pictures as ministers rushed to bring back the Mabati, which were accidentally found in their compound.
Which accident?
Charity, what did you make of that story?
And the Mabati,
the scandal is still unfolding. The drama
they could not fit inside the cars of the ministers. They went rattling. They were quite big.
They had legs.
And you said
they were like stealing pigs.
Even people were laughing about why would you steal a bulky thing, and when there are less bulky things to steal. This one here, he steals checks, so you would never know. They don't make noise. The others went rattling, and they are still rattling. I think that
it's a huge scandal. I think a big scandal.
Even if it is a huge scandal, it taught us one thing, that politics will always override everything. Because at the end of the day, the politics still took the day. Did we see anyone held accountable?
Yeah,
and
they were brought to court.
The anger that the
Honorable
had,
Rugorobi Amos,
and the
Honorable
president said,
Chitutu,
this time,
Honorable Nandutu were all arraigned in court.
Were they the people on the list alone?
The list had 42 top mental
Exactly. So why weren't all the 42 arraigned? Because that's the question that we had from and the president said this time,
the honorable minister is there being taken to.
I mean, for him,
but he's still in office.
Even is he there in office? Even Nandutu didn't she go with the prime minister? Wasn't she going back to Karamoja the other
Amos
day?
Lugorobi being ready
They are all
to
still
the anti-corruption.
And you know what they bring?
Show one minister who has
counter-terrorism police in masks. Please, photo opportunity.
You see, even have a cannula with a cannula in court.
But now you see, this is politics all. I told you, politics overrides everything else, and it overrode it for us. So we believed the president. He said this time I have even put the knives on the table. Wow.
Dr. Jeded Wanzala, 1.5 minutes.
I think
the scandal of the year.
What I said
I think it's a scandal of 2023.
It could have also been a trap to have so many people with all police files. And then there you are able to control dissent as we go to the electoral cycle. Because if someone becomes stubborn, then you can reopen the file for stealing.
Really?
Yes, it can be a control measure. But then it goes back to two words. Misplaced priorities, because Karamoja at the time did not need iron sheets. What they needed first was peace, because of conflict. And then the other is the accountability jokes in public offices. And I want to crown it all by saying that every time there is a reshuffle of cabinet, you see the newspaper saying, Busoga eats big, Ankole eats big. So once they say that, it means these people have not come to serve us, but they are going to eat. So that's the implication.
Thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you so much. These were the big stories that made 2023. I will make a round of wish your people a Happy New Year and tell them we'll be back here in 2024.
Yeah, dear viewers, thank you so much for participating, for viewing. We are really grateful, and on my own behalf, I wish you happy 2024.
Thank you so much, Charity.
A blessed 2024. I had already said it to all our viewers and to the panelists here and to the crew and to Apollo and to Pastor Jingo, who is going to be leading people in prayer. I hope that people can actually remember that, yes, we have said these things, even the iron sheets have still stayed with us. But these people in yellow, their ears should open in 2024.
Baguma?
Please. Alcohol, tobacco, unprotected sex, drugs, they harm and they kill. Have a safe, pleasant, and safe and good New Year. Please don't go to overdrink and you say you're drinking happiness. You're drinking poison. And finally, support the Alcohol Drinks Control Bill into law.
Thank you so much, the panel. It is my profound honor to, of course, have steered this show through 2023, and I'll be here again, I promise you, in 2024. Quickly, I had a guest here from security, and he told me, relating to drug use and abuse, that even the people now in the corporate world, corporate group, those people who work with flasks, that they are full of enjaga, that they drink
and alcohol.
And
it's in the university.
And let's be responsible in 2024. I take the pleasure to wish you a very enjoyable and memorable 2024. Good afternoon. Have a blessed weekend.
Soul Television, Femunyo.